At the beginning of this story, we see a man who was a hunter. He was setting traps with his daughter to catch animals. These are a type of trap used to ensnare anyone, and he was also removing animals that were caught in the old traps. Accompanying them was their dog, and the man was communicating with his wife via radio. Her name was Anne, and he was asking her to go to town to fetch some necessary supplies. There were 3 people in this family living in the wilderness away from the city, and they made a living by selling the hides of animals they caught in their traps. They would cook the meat, and she used to sell the hides. Now, this was their only means of earning money because they didn't know anything else apart from hunting. Because of this, Anne's husband was also teaching their son this work. However, he wasn't very skilled at it yet. She was checking the traps when they noticed that the animal from their trap was missing, which made her daughter think that it must be his doing. He is bad. She was talking about the wolf here, which makes us understand that this wasn't the first time it happened. It used to happen before as well. Meanwhile, Anne took the hides to a store to sell them. Yes, she appeared quite troubled because the price she received for the hides was not enough, nor did it provide sufficient food. The shop owner, seeing her distress, told her that the usual animal hides fetch only so much. If she wanted more money, she would need to bring in a wolf hide. Yet Anne was still worried, wondering where she could possibly find a wolf hide. She was also intently looking at the posters there, which advertised rental properties and good jobs. From her expression, it seemed she wanted to buy a house and pursue a better career, but for some reason she couldn't. She can't do it. She doesn't even like hunting. She also wants us to live in the town instead of the jungle so that I can send my daughter to a good school. But because they didn't have enough money, she returns home. Ham, Anne's husband, was teaching their daughter how to skin, while Anne was preparing food for everyone. During dinner, everyone's mood was off because there wasn't enough proper food due to lack of money. And when Anne's daughter tells her that the animal they hunted was taken by a wolf, Anne becomes quite angry with her husband because he didn't tell Anne. She hadn't mentioned it. She told her husband to do something about this biddy, otherwise we will starve. Then, after sending her daughter inside, Anne starts arguing with her husband again. Her husband says that the BDA likes to teach girls to hunt, so surely he must have come either after seeing a girl or an animal. But Anne says that in her opinion, he has come here because of our family. He knows he will find easy prey here and won't have to put in any effort. She further says that she wants to go to the police station and report him, but her husband refuses. He says, "Don't worry, I'll catch him myself tomorrow morning." Don't worry, I'll catch him myself tomorrow morning. But this wasn't the only concern. The sister, showing her the same advertisement poster, says, "How long can we manage like this? I will get a job at a good place and start earning again. Then we will be in a better mood." But her husband refuses. He says that apart from a car, we can't do anything else and we don't know anything else. After this, they both come outside and she starts explaining to her husband that, "Look, you're not thinking about your daughter. This life is what you've chosen because of you. I have made my choice, but our daughter wasn't given any choice. Let her do what she wants to do. She should be worried about her studies at this time, not about the wolves. And who would choose to live in the jungle? It's not sensible, is it?" But even after explaining, her husband doesn't understand. He says that we live here, and so will our future generations. No matter what happens, they won't leave this jungle. Then the next morning, when he was going hunting for the BDA, he takes her along because of her insistence. This is something that Anne doesn't understand at all. That's why she uses her. She communicates through the radio. He says that when I felt the presence of the wolf and the time for hunting came, I would send her back. When she does arrive, because the footprints of the wolf were given, he understood that she must be nearby. Therefore, after explaining everything, he sends his daughter back. He also says that he will come back by night, after which his daughter starts to return. Although her dad had said not to be afraid, not to panic, the jungle was filled with such frightening sounds, whose condition worsens. Over there, Anne was in the same state. Water from the river. As she was returning, she felt as though someone was following her, which made her anxious, and her daughter felt the same way. After that, Anne, though like a local, returns home, but her daughter doesn't make it back. She sits there, frightened. Her sister's husband also spots the wolf, so he immediately fires a shot at it. However, it didn't seem like it was dead. Her daughter also heard the gunshot, which gave her the courage to move forward. Her sister's husband comes to check after firing the shot and sees that the wolf isn't there, which suggests he had escaped from there, but witnessing something there left him in a terrible state, and that object was a girl's severed necklace that the wolf was consuming. Now, crossing the road to the opposite side of the forest, he commenced to move forward, and what he observed left him completely astonished. He was quite terrified because there were the dismembered bodies of girls, brutally cut and arranged in a circular pattern, which evidently couldn't be the work of a wolf, making him realize that a murderous wolf was also roaming in Jindal, committing all these acts. In other words, killing girls even in such a manner. He was utterly terrified, thinking it was now his turn. His mother was also at risk because there were 2 women present in his house. He could handle the wolf, but dealing with this dangerous killer would not be easy. He sat quietly all night, pondering over this. It seemed as if his sleep and hunger had vanished. He didn't tell his family anything so that they wouldn't be scared, and he decided to handle it himself to protect his family. The next day, when they woke up, he was extremely tense because he had returned to the same place. Yes, he had seen the bodies of the girls. He had actually informed N to locate the video. Even if it requires me to remain awake throughout the entire night, I shall do so. Therefore, do not be concerned about me. However, in truth, he was not in search of wolves, but rather the actual murderer. When the killer and his daughter were by the riverside, his daughter realized her dog was absent, so she went to search for it. But then a wolf emerged before her, advancing towards them. Upon seeing it, she began shouting because that was the initial thought that came to her mind, and it proved effective here as well because the wolf fled, and now both mother and daughter. Without setting a time, these ferns return home. However, since their dog was left outside, she wants to find it. Yes, she does find the dog, but it's dead because the wolf had also killed it, which causes Anne a lot of grief. She goes back and lies to her daughter, saying that they haven't found the dog yet. She tells her that when her dad comes, they'll find it together. She didn't tell her daughter about the dog's death so that she wouldn't be scared. She didn't want her to feel that her life was in danger. So, here we are told that the name of this movie is because in reality, this hunter finds himself caught between 2 predatory families, both of which pose a significant threat to their existence. One is the wolf and the other is the murderer. Eventually, morning arrives, but Anne's husband neither returns nor makes any contact. The mother and daughter then proceed to inspect their traps, where once more their catch is absent, and there Anne discovers a ring. She is instantly disturbed because it likely belongs to the girl who was devoured by the wolf. Consequently, she heads directly to the police station to report the incident so that it can be caught. Meanwhile, the police officer's boss was returning to the police station regarding a life matter when they noticed an empty car on the way. They looked at it carefully at first, but didn't pay much attention and proceeded to the police station where Anne was already present. Anne was explaining everything to them, to which they replied that nothing could be done because your area doesn't fall under our jurisdiction. Additionally, we can't apprehend the creature because it's not at fault. It's not a human, it's an animal. It doesn't understand, simply doing what it's accustomed to. It has always been this way. You live in the forest, you hunt, so the fault is entirely yours, not the wolf's. So, if there is any action taken, it will be against you, not the wolf. Since no help was forthcoming, Anne had to manage with whatever little food she had. She had to return home. Then she buried her dog and brought a fawn home after killing it. It was a mistake, but they had to do something for food. There was no trace of her husband. The wolf was looming and the food was running out. Therefore, whatever needed to be done, Anne had to do it. Anne, along with her daughter, prepared the deer. She takes it down and then they both cook it, which seems like a story. Just then, they notice some disturbance on the radio. The sister speaks, but her voice isn't clear from the other side. Whenever the mother and daughter were asleep at night, they suddenly woke up because they heard someone screaming from the forest. She goes to check and they see that it's not Anne's husband, but rather some unknown man who was quite injured and asking for help. Anne then leaves her daughter back at home and brings the man to her house on something because the wolf might be nearby. Upon checking, a radio is found with him. Additionally, his leg's condition was quite severe. The night passes like this. The next morning, when Anne's daughter comes to him, she gets quite frightened because of his sudden eye movement. She immediately calls her mum, and upon his request, Anne gives him some water and also bandages the wound on his leg. Anne's daughter finds it strange. That's why she tells her mum that dad said never to trust a stranger. Hearing this, Anne says to look at his condition and how injured he is, and if your dad were here, he would help him too. Of course, she does. Meanwhile, as Bose was returning to the CJ police station, he noticed that the car was still parked in the same spot. He realized that the car had been there for the last 2 days, so he got out of his vehicle to look around. When he didn't see anyone, he noted down the car's number. The unknown man woke up and introduced himself as Lou. The sister asked him why he was in the forest, as not many people come here. To which Lou replied, "That's my speciality. Actually, I didn't come to take pictures of the forest, but my car broke down on the way, so I ended up walking in the forest. Someone attacked me at the spot, possibly a wolf, because I didn't see it, and the car that's been parked there for so many days is mine. Its condition was so poor that it needed to be taken to the hospital, but with the wolf around it couldn't be moved because if the wolf was there, they wouldn't be able to escape." Nevertheless, Anne, with her daughter's help, tried to get him to the car. However, on the way, Lou started screaming in pain, so they had to return home. Both mother and daughter had now thrown poisoned meat chunks there. They also lit a fire with a trip set up there to keep safe from the wolf. To escape from the wolf, Meanwhile, Bose was deep in thought because people had been disappearing continuously for quite some time, especially girls, and this trend was still ongoing. Now, although there was only an hour left until his duty was over, he was still more focused on sharing that car, which was his biggest mistake. He was following the tracks and moving forward when suddenly his foot got caught in a trap. As he tried to free himself by moving slightly, his hand was also trapped, making it clear that he was now stuck here. He couldn't go anywhere, and this trap must have been set by Anne's husband to catch the killer. But this face got stuck in it too. Meanwhile, Anne was standing at home checking everything thoroughly, but even after the whole night had passed, neither her husband returned nor did the wolf at the police station. When an officer arrives, she listens to a voice message from his wife saying that she didn't come back home last night. Now this officer tries to contact them via radio but gets no response, so she sets out to find the answer herself. Meanwhile, Anne also started worrying about her husband. Therefore, she sets out with a map to find her husband. A rabbit gets caught in a trap and willingly it has to be killed. Doing so made her quite upset because this wasn't her job. Just then, the radio starts making noise, so she begins to move forward again. Yes, upon reaching there she is shocked because her husband's body is lying there. Seeing him dead like that, she breaks down and starts crying profusely, and now she understands the whole situation. Her husband wasn't killed by the wolf, but by Lou, because he is the murderer who killed the other girls too. This bed of the end caught the same. Lou managed to escape after being attacked, but even then her husband had injured Lou quite severely. However, she unknowingly brought him back home to save his life. This revelation was nothing short of a shock for Anne because she had been tending to the man who was her husband's murderer. Until now, she was unaware of this fact. As soon as she realized, she hurried back home because she had made another mistake. She had left her daughter alone with people. Meanwhile, the officer also arrived at the location and started searching for her. When she felt as if someone was there, he discharges 2 or 3 rounds from his firearm, which swiftly alerts the officers, and she utilizes her distress signal to summon urgent assistance. She carefully enters the residence and observes that her daughter is absolutely fine and resting peacefully. However, the murderer wasn't present as he was concealing himself. Abruptly, he assaults her from behind the door. In the scuffle, a shot is discharged from the firearm which rouses her daughter. She comes to investigate what's occurring, but it's futile because by that time they had already rendered her unconscious. The police had also arrived, but before they could free the boss from traffic, the boss was on the verge of dying, not just yet. You see their grandeur, and all the police officers advance in general. When she regains consciousness, she demands the truck keys. To which she responds that she'll only do so on one condition. First, tell me where my daughter is. He doesn't answer this but says that none of this would have happened if your husband had minded his own business and not interfered. To hide his secret, he first killed your husband, and now I will kill you too. After which, he burns all his belongings and approaches her. He begins to act inappropriately. Nevertheless, she astutely covers his mouth and subsequently liberates herself, striking him with an object and leaving him unconscious. She then proceeds into the adjacent room and collapses in tears because her daughter's lifeless body is present there, although it is not visible to us. This indicated that the deranged murderer, who was a monster disguised as a human, had not spared her daughter either. Consequently, she determines that she will not show him any mercy. She will exact vengeance for both her husband and daughter. She then hangs a sign and dons her headphones to listen to music. Subsequently, she begins to meticulously skin Lou, akin to an animal as he was nothing short of a beast himself. In a remarkably short span, she removes the skin from his entire body and ultimately from the wound, resulting in a significant flow of blood. It was an utterly horrifying spectacle. By that time, the police had arrived outside. Nevertheless, Anne had already accomplished her task and took Jerry's life with her. The police were utterly astonished to witness this, and she hurled the remnants of the wound towards the officers, prompting them to retreat. The police then proceeded inside to investigate. Jihalu was still alive, but his condition was very poor, so he was only going to be breathing for a little while longer. Seeing him would shake anyone's heart. He looked so terrifyingly ugly. She sits down at a place while listening to songs, remembers her family, and turns off the music, and with this, the film ends here.